Hello there, welcome to Conflict News 2042. Why is Israel delaying ground offensive on Gaza? Very important question because we have been hearing for almost a week that Israeli military was going to launch ground offensive on Gaza any time, any minute rather. It has not happened so far. What is the reason? What are the concerns? What are the problems which Israeli military could face? Political problems, military challenges. Could this offensive be delayed forever? These are very important questions. The war broke out on the 7th of October. Immediately after that, we started hearing that ground offensive on Gaza was imminent. Why is that? So far, no ground invasion. Well, firstly, I think ground offensive will be launched for two reasons. Israel always created an impression in this region that militarily it is superior, stronger than Palestinian groups. This impression suffered a setback when Hamas fighters on the 7th of October entered Israel-controlled settlements to the east and north of Gaza. They attacked civilians, they attacked two military bases of Israeli military, and around 300 deaths of Israeli soldiers have been confirmed so far. Total deaths on Israeli side around 400. On Palestinian side, double this number, around 2,800. So Israel suffered a big loss. The impression which it had created for years suffered a setback. It wants to regain its status. That is why ground offensive will be launched, firstly. Secondly, it could be a matter of political survival for Benjamin Netanyahu. He has been facing some political challenges before the start of this war. He faced corruption charges too. If his government does not launch ground invasion of Gaza, he could face serious political challenges. So ground invasion will happen. But then question is, why is it being delayed? There are several reasons. I think first major concern for Israeli forces is the ongoing escalation on its northern borders. Israel-Lebanon, Israel-Syria border. Since the 8th of October, we have been seeing border escalation on Israel-Lebanon border, especially Hezbollah fighters, Hamas, PIJ based in Lebanon, they are firing rockets, missiles. They are trying to infiltrate Israeli territories, Israel-controlled territories from Lebanon. We have seen several attacks on Israeli tanks, APCs, technical equipment, soldiers on Lebanon border. Just today, Israel confirmed the death of a lieutenant in a missile strike from Lebanon. Yes, Hezbollah fighters are dying too. Israel is conducting artillery strikes, airstrikes, gunship helicopters are being used, drone strikes being conducted. Israeli military conducting strikes from Israeli territory. No ground invasion of Lebanon from Israel. And no ground invasion of Israel from Lebanon, no large-scale ground invasion of Israel from Lebanon. Hezbollah is sending a clear message that if Israeli military attacked Gaza, ground invasion, Hezbollah could be involved. There could be increase in attacks from Lebanese territory on Israeli forces, maybe ground invasion as well. And Hezbollah has proven in the past few days its ability to strike targets in Israel very precisely. We have seen 2 days ago, Israeli missiles precisely hit cameras, radars, motion detectors on Israel side of the border. And Hezbollah is in possession of more than 100,000 rockets and missiles, which could be a serious threat for Israel. How to neutralize this threat? Obviously, through large-scale deployment of Israeli military on its border with Lebanon, and through putting some pressure upon Lebanon and those who are backing Lebanon. Who is backing Lebanon-based groups? Obviously, Iran. So pressure being exerted through international diplomacy, regional diplomacy, that Iran should not back Hezbollah, or Hezbollah should not involve in the war if Israeli military attacks Gaza through ground invasion. First concern. Second concern is a likely offensive from Syria. Syria also shares border with Israel. We have seen some rockets fired towards Israel in the disputed territory, Golan Heights, from Syrian territory towards Israeli military position. And 2 days ago, it was reported that some Syrian fighters were seen heading towards Israeli border, heading from eastern Syria towards Damascus, towards Israeli border. These groups have backing of Iran. And another concern for Israeli forces, Israel, is likely involvement of Russians. Russia has big military presence in Syria. Russia saved Bashar al-Assad's government. Iran, Russia saved Bashar al-Assad. Bashar al-Assad government could support Russia, Bashar al-Assad government, they could support groups which are in Syria to attack Israeli military in case of ground invasion of Gaza by Israeli defense force. That is why maybe Netanyahu talked to Putin today. And Iranian leader also talked to Putin today. So Putin's role is crucial in case of ground invasion of Gaza from IDF and escalation on Israel-Syria, Israel-Lebanon border. Israel wants assurances from US that if Russia is involved in supporting Syria-based groups, will US support Israeli forces directly? US is flexing muscles. We have seen arrival of US carrier strike group in the Eastern Mediterranean. US is beefing up its military presence in the Middle East. We've seen arrival of F-15 fighter jets in Jordan. US has several bases in Middle East. Will US involve in support of Israel if Russia starts backing Syria-based groups? Very important question. US has its assets, military assets, spread across the Middle East. If US involves itself directly in this war against Russians, against Hamas, Palestinian groups in support of Israel, we could see attacks on American bases, American interests in the Middle East. Ideally, US would not involve itself directly in this war. US wants Russia to suffer in Ukraine, where Russia is caught up despite Russian attempts to wrap up the conflict in Ukraine. It's still ongoing. It's mainly because of the military support, diplomatic support, financial support for Ukraine from US, from EU countries. So US would not like to involve itself directly in a clash against Russia in the Middle East. Now, this is the situation on northern borders of Israel. What about Gaza itself? If ground invasion of Gaza is launched, obviously it would lead to casualties. Two types of casualties. Casualties of Israeli soldiers, because right now they are conducting airstrikes. And it means they are not vulnerable to major losses to their forces now. But if they enter Gaza, their infantry would be vulnerable to attacks from